You need to stop what you're doing and check your pocket change right now, because these old 1-cent coins could be hiding a fortune worth serious money. Most people unknowingly spend valuable pennies every single day without ever noticing the tiny details that collectors are searching for. So before you spend another penny, take a closer look, because what appears to be a dirty, ordinary coin could actually be a rare treasure hiding in plain sight. Today, we're revealing the top 3 most valuable and ultra-rare 1-cent coins. And trust me, each coin brings its own incredible story, rarity, and potential value. We're looking at a 1-cent wheat penny, an Indian head 1 cent, and a Lincoln Bicentennial penny, 3 different generations of American pennies that could become highly collectible because of rare dates, mint marks, varieties, errors, and exceptional condition. Stay with us until the very end, because one tiny detail on one of these pennies could completely change its value, and you might already have one sitting in your collection, coin jar, or pocket right now. Now, let's uncover the top 3 rare 1-cent coins that every collector needs to know about. The 1942 wheat penny, the $12,000 copper fortune hiding in your pocket chain. Imagine holding a single copper penny in your hand, a coin so ordinary looking that most people would spend it without a second thought. But what if that tiny piece of copper could be worth over $12,000? What if it has been sitting in your grandfather's old collection, a forgotten coin jar, or even in the change you received at the grocery store this morning? You are about to discover everything about the 1942 wheat penny with no mint mark, a coin that could be hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone like you to recognize its true value. Today, you will never overlook a copper penny again. Let us travel back to 1942. The world is engulfed in the flames of World War II. Franklin D. Roosevelt is in the White House, and at the Philadelphia Mint, over 657 million pennies are being struck featuring the iconic profile of Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, a man chosen personally by President Theodore Roosevelt to create something beautiful for the American people, these coins would go on to pass through millions of hands. But here is where things get interesting. The composition of this coin is 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc, making it a bronze penny weighing 3.11 grams, and this tiny detail could change everything. Because just 1 year later in 1943, the composition would change dramatically to zinc-coated steel to conserve copper for the war effort. So the 1942 penny is the final full year of traditional bronze production until after the war. Little did anyone know that tucked among these ordinary pieces of copper were treasures that would one day be worth a small fortune. Here is where things get interesting. The 1942 wheat penny is a masterpiece on both sides. On the obverse you will see the distinguished portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing right, with liberty inscribed to his left and in God we trust above his head. The date 1942 appears on the right side, and here is the crucial detail. The Philadelphia Mint produced these coins with no mint mark at all. This lack of a tiny D for Denver or S for San Francisco is the very thing that gives this specific coin its unique identity. The composition of this coin is 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, weighing 3.11 grams with a diameter of 19 millimeters. And here is something most people never notice. In 1942, the Mint also experimented with different alloys, including zinc-coated steel and a zinc-copper alloy, but the bronze composition remained the standard. This tiny detail could change everything. Now flip it over and you will witness something breathtaking. The reverse features 2 majestic ears of Durham wheat flanking the words 1 cent and United States of America, with the national motto EPLURIBUSUNUM arching at the top. It was a simpler time when a penny actually bought something, and the design reflected America's agricultural strength. The wheat penny series ran from 1909 to 1958, making the 1942 issue part of the beloved wartime years of this iconic series. Every detail of this coin tells a story of American resilience during its darkest hours. The 1942 penny represents the final full year of normal production before the dramatic wartime shift to steel in 1943, making it the last of its kind. Most people never notice this, but the real magic of the 1942 penny lies in its condition and its fascinating error varieties. You see, while over 657 million were struck in Philadelphia, finding one that has survived in pristine condition is like finding a needle in a haystack. The original mint red color, the gleaming luster of the day it was struck, is what collectors are hunting for. A coin with a brilliant red appearance can be worth thousands of times more than one that has turned brown. In circulated condition, a worn example is only worth around 20 to 35 cents. In uncirculated condition, the value begins to climb. A 1942 penny in MS-65 red condition is worth about $30, while an MS-66 example can bring $50 to $85. But wait, it gets even more exciting. Among those millions of pennies, some were struck with errors that make them incredibly desirable. The 1942 penny is known for the 1942 doubled die obverse, where the design shows noticeable doubling visible on the date and lettering. One collector discovered a 1942 penny with the L in Liberty partially on the rim, known as the L on rim error. There are also examples of strike-through grease errors where parts of the design are missing, die clashes where ghostly images appear on the opposite side, and planchet errors where defective blanks were used. What happened next shocked collectors. These imperfections that were once considered mistakes are now fascinating varieties that collectors actively search for. The value of a regular 1942 penny with no mint mark ranges dramatically based on its condition. In circulated condition, a worn example is only worth between 15 cents and $3. In uncirculated condition, the value begins to climb. At MS63 red, it can be worth around $8, and at MS65 red, prices reach approximately $30. At MS67 red, the value jumps significantly, with examples selling for $85 to $100. But the truly spectacular examples, graded MS67 plus or higher with full red color and exceptional eye appeal, are the ones that make history. The value may leave you speechless. The highest recorded auction sale for a 1942 no-mint mark penny was an astonishing *12,000** for a coin graded MS68 red. A PCGS MS68 example of the 1942 D penny sold for $3,600, while the 1942 S in MS68 condition has reached $12,000 at auction. Think about that for a moment. A single penny, a coin that cost 1 cent to produce, sold for over $12,000 at auction. Collectors search for this coin because it represents a pivotal moment in American history. The 1942 penny is the last full year of bronze production before the dramatic wartime shift to steel in 1943. The 1942 penny embodies the resilience of America during World War II, making it a window into an era when coins were not just currency, but tools of economy and warfare. The Philadelphia Mint produced more than the Denver and San Francisco mints combined, making the no-mint mark version the most common in worn condition. But in mint state condition, especially in the highest grades, the story changes dramatically. The 1942 penny is also available in proof condition. Only 32,600 proof coins were struck, and a PR68 deep cameo example has sold for an incredible $28,200. Finding one that escaped circulation and maintained its original mint luster for over 80 years is a true numismatic achievement. So before you dismiss any old penny, take a closer look. Grab a magnifying glass. First, check below the date. Remember, Philadelphia coins have no mint mark. Next, examine the color. Is it a brilliant red, a mix of red and brown, or fully brown? The red coins are the most valuable. Look at the condition. Is it worn smooth on Lincoln's cheek and the wheat ears, or does it look like it just left the mint? Are all the details sharp and crisp? Look closely for any doubling on the date and lettering, the L on rim, error, or any unusual strike characteristics. These subtle differences are the key to unlocking its true value. Hidden details most people miss, like a perfect red surface or a subtle doubled die, are exactly what can turn a penny into a payday. And I need you to remember this crucial warning. Do not clean your coin. Cleaning a coin can reduce its value by 90% or more. Leave it exactly as it is, handle it by the edges, and protect it in a soft sleeve. That gentle cleaning could be the biggest mistake you will ever make. Also beware of common mistakes. Not every unusual mark is a mint error, and some damage can be mistaken for varieties. If you find a coin that seems too good to be true, have it professionally authenticated by PCGS or NGC before celebrating. Third-party grading remains the most reliable method for verifying authenticity and assigning the grade that determines value. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the incredible world of coin collecting, please hit that like button and subscribe. The next coin I am about to reveal could be even more shocking, a coin that could change your life forever. Imagine a penny from the following year with an error so rare and distinctive that it sold for over $1 million. But that is a story for another time. Until then, start checking your change, your coin jars, your old collections, and your inherited albums. You might be holding a fortune in the palm of your hand, and that fortune could be hiding in a 1942 wheat penny. Next up. Imagine holding a small piece of copper in your palm, worn, dark, unassuming. Now imagine that same piece of copper could pay off your mortgage, send your kids to college, or buy you a brand new car. Sounds impossible, right? Well, what if I told you that there's a specific penny, an 1894 Indian head cent, hiding in plain sight that has done exactly that for lucky collectors who knew exactly what to look for? Now we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating, misunderstood, and potentially life-changing coins in American history. And by the time this video ends, you might just find yourself racing to check every old coin jar, every inherited collection, and every forgotten piggy bank in your house. Because the secret I'm about to share, it could be worth thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars. Let's start with the story behind this coin. The year was 1894. Grover Cleveland was in the White House, the country was still recovering from the panic of 1893, and the United States Mint in Philadelphia was cranking out coins to keep the economy moving. But something unusual happened that year. Production for the Indian head cent dipped to just 16,749,500 circulation strikes, down more than 29 million coins from the previous year. In fact, the 1894 is the scarcest Philadelphia Mint Indian cent from the entire 1890s and 1900s. Now 16 million might sound like a lot, but in the world of coin collecting it's the survival rate that matters. And here, where things get interesting. Most people assume that because millions were made, their 1894 penny is only worth face value. But that assumption could cost you a fortune. You see, this coin features one of the most iconic designs in American numismatics, the Indian head cent, designed by Chief Engraver James Barton Longacre. On the obverse you'll find Lady Liberty wearing a Native American headdress, with the word Liberty inscribed on her headband. The reverse showcases a beautiful oak wreath surrounding the words 1 cent, with a shield at the top. It's a stunning piece of 19th century artistry that collectors have been chasing for generations, but here's what most people never notice. The key to unlocking this coin's true value lies in 3 critical areas: condition, mint mark, and errors. Let's talk about condition first. A regular, worn 1894 Indian head cent in average circulated condition is worth about $5, but if you have one that's never been used, what collectors call mint state, the value skyrockets. An MS-65 red example can fetch around $1,200 or more, while the finest known examples have sold for astonishing prices. And here, where it gets really exciting, the highest graded 1894 Indian head cents in MS-67 red condition have sold at auction for $15,000. That's right, a single penny worth $15,000, but that's just the beginning. Now let me tell you about the mint mark. This is where most people make a costly mistake. The 1894 Indian head cent was minted in 2 locations, Philadelphia and San Francisco. Coins from Philadelphia have no mint mark at all, but coins from San Francisco bear a small S located on the reverse beneath the wreath at the 6 o'clock position. Here's the catch: San Francisco didn't start minting Indian head cents until 1908. That means there is no such thing as an 1894 S Indian head cent. If you find one with an S mint mark, it's a counterfeit, period. So if someone tries to sell you an 1894 S penny, run the other way. But wait, there's another error that's incredibly valuable, and this one is real. What if I told you that some 1894 pennies have the date doubled? That's right, the 1894 on the coin was accidentally stamped twice, creating a ghost-like duplicate image. This is called a double date or repunch date variety, and it's one of the most sought-after errors in the entire Indian head cent series. The doubling is most visible on the 94 of the date, where you can see clear secondary images shifted slightly. In lower grades, this error is worth around $25 to $80, but in mint state with original red color, we're talking serious money. An MS-66 red double date example sold at Heritage auctions for $30,000, and an MS-67 red, some experts estimate it could bring even more. That's $30,000 for a single penny that most people would overlook. But the errors don't stop there. There's also the misplaced digits variety, catalogued as FS42, where the numbers in the date show unusual positioning. And let's not forget the proof strikes. In 1894, the Philadelphia Mint produced just 2,632 proof Indian head cents, coins struck with special dies and polished planchets specifically for collectors. These proofs are incredibly rare, with cameo-designated examples being especially scarce. A proof 1894 Indian head cent in cameo condition can easily fetch $4,000 to $7,500 or more. And if you find one with deep cameo contrast, the value could be even higher. So how do you know if your 1894 penny is the valuable version? First, check the date. Look closely at the 94. Do you see any doubling? Tilt the coin under a bright light and examine the numbers carefully. Second, check the condition. Is the coin worn smooth, or does it still have its original copper luster? Coins with full red color are the most valuable. Third, weigh the coin. The correct weight is 3.11 grams and the diameter should be 19 millimeters. The composition is 95% copper with 5% tin and zinc. Any significant deviation could indicate a counterfeit. And speaking of counterfeits, be extremely careful. The 1894 Indian head cent is one of the most counterfeited coins in American numismatics. Always buy from reputable dealers and consider having your coin authenticated by PCGS or NGC. Now let's talk about what collectors are actually paying. Recent auction records show an MS-67 red 1894 cent selling for $15,000. Another MS-66 red brought $7,800. An MS-65 red can fetch $1,200 or more. The double date variety in MS-66 red, $30,000. And the repunch date variety in MS-63 red, over $3,300. These aren't hypothetical numbers, these are real sales from major auction houses like Heritage and Stack's Bowers. Collectors are actively searching for these coins, and the demand is only increasing. In fact, the 1894 is ranked as one of the scarcer dates in the Indian head cent series. But here's the most exciting part, there are still undiscovered examples out there. Every year someone finds a valuable Indian head cent in an old collection, a bankroll, or even pocket change. Could you be next? Imagine pulling a worn copper penny from a jar and realizing it's worth $15,000, or $30,000, or more. It happens more often than you think. And the 1894 date is one of the most likely candidates because so many people assume it's common and overlook it entirely. So here's my challenge to you. Before you finish this video, go check your coin collection. Look through those old jars, those inherited albums, those forgotten boxes. Pay special attention to any Indian head cents you might have. Check the date, look for doubling, examine the condition. You might be holding a small fortune without even knowing it. And if you do find one, get it authenticated immediately. Don't clean it, that destroys the value. Don't sell it until you know exactly what you have. And whatever you do, don't spend it. The 1894 Indian head cent is proof that treasure really can be hiding in plain sight. It's a coin that has made dreams come true for collectors who knew what to look for. And now you know too, so what are you waiting for? Go check those coins, your financial future might just depend on it. Next up. The 2009 penny that could be hiding in your pocket change right now. What if I told you that a single penny, a coin so small and insignificant that you probably wouldn't even bend over to pick it up off the sidewalk, could be worth more than a brand new car, and that the same 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial cent with no mint mark could be sitting in your pocket change, your piggy bank, or that dusty old coffee can in your closet right now, completely unnoticed by you and everyone else who has ever touched it? Most people have no idea that 2009 was one of the most extraordinary years in American coinage history. A year when the United States Mint did something it hadn't done in 50 years by releasing 4 completely different reverse designs to honor Abraham Lincoln's 200th birthday. And in doing so, created a series of coins that have collectors around the world hunting through billions of pennies with the intensity of treasure hunters searching for lost gold. Because hidden among these ordinary-looking coins are varieties and errors that can turn a 1-cent piece into a 4-figure or even 5-figure payday. Now, to understand why this particular penny is so special, we have to go back to 2009, a year that marked 2 massive milestones in American history: the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth and the 100th anniversary of the Lincoln penny itself, a coin that had featured the iconic profile of our 16th president since 1909. And for 50 years, the reverse of the penny had featured the Lincoln Memorial. A design so familiar that most people stopped noticing it altogether. But for this historic bicentennial celebration, the U.S. Mint decided to do something truly remarkable by replacing that single design with 4 completely different designs, each one telling a chapter of Lincoln's incredible journey from a humble log cabin in Kentucky, through his formative years in Indiana reading by firelight, to his professional life as a lawyer in Illinois. And finally, his presidency in Washington, D.C. with the unfinished Capitol Dome. And while the obverse continued to bear the Victor David Brenner likeness of Lincoln that has watched over American pocket change for over a century, it is the reverse designs and the hidden errors within them that have collectors absolutely obsessed. But here is where things get interesting, because the Philadelphia Mint, which produces coins with no mint mark, struck these bicentennial pennies in massive numbers, with mintage figures reaching into the hundreds of millions for each design, including 284,400,000 for the birth and early childhood design alone. And yet, despite these enormous numbers, finding one of these pennies in high-grade condition is like finding a needle in a haystack. Because most of them were released directly into circulation where they were handled, dropped, pocketed, and spent over and over again, accumulating scratches, dings, and wear that dramatically reduced their value. But the secret that most people never notice is that the coins that were pulled from circulation and preserved in pristine condition, or the special satin finish versions and proof coins made for collectors, are the ones that can command truly astonishing prices. And with the composition being 97.5% zinc with a 2.5% copper plating, weighing 2.5 grams with a diameter of 19 millimeters, it is not the metal that makes them valuable. It is the condition, the errors, and the rarity of finding one that has survived in perfect, untouched condition. Most people never notice this, But the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial Pennies are home to some of the most fascinating and valuable error varieties ever found on a modern U.S. coin, because the U.S. Mint struck a staggering 2.35 billion of these pennies in just 11 months. And with that kind of frantic production pace, mistakes were absolutely inevitable. And now variety specialists recognize well over 120 distinct double die listings for 2009 alone, making this one of the richest years for error coin collectors in modern history, with the formative years design showing young Lincoln reading a book while resting from rail splitting featuring a double die error that makes it appear as though Lincoln has an extra thumb or an extra finger while holding that book. In the birth and early childhood, log cabin design with its own share of errors, including double die obverses with bold spreading on the word liberty in the date, as well as double die reverses showing extra log ends under the cabin porch. And then there are the off-center strikes where the design is missing along part of the rim. And the most shocking part is that these errors can transform a coin worth 1 cent into something that collectors will pay hundreds of dollars for. What happened next shocked collectors around the world when a 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial cent with the birth and early childhood design, graded MS68RD by PCGS, the absolute finest example of the circulation strike issue known to exist, sold at auction for an incredible $4,800, and let that sink in for a moment. A single penny, a coin with a face value of 1 cent, sold for nearly $5,000. But the values don't stop there, because a 2009 D Lincoln Presidency penny, graded MS69 sold for an astounding $2,500, and a 2009 D Professional Life penny sold for $725, while a 2009 No Mint Mark Formative Years penny sold for $375, and a 2009 No Mint Mark Professional Life penny brought in $300. And these are not ancient coins from the Roman Empire or gold doubloons from Spanish galleons. These are pennies that were minted just over a decade ago, pennies that could have passed through your hands without you ever realizing their true worth. This tiny detail could change everything about how you look at your pocket change, because the key to identifying a valuable 2009 penny lies in 3 critical factors: the design, the condition, and the presence of errors, and you need to first identify which of the 4 reverse designs you have, whether it is the log cabin, the rail splitter reading, the professional life scene, or the presidency capitol dome. Then you need to examine the condition, because uncirculated coins with full original mint luster and no handling marks are far more desirable than circulated examples. And third, and this is where the real money is, you need to look for errors like doubling on the letters, numbers, and design elements, extra fingers or thumbs on the formative years design, off-center strikes, and most importantly, pay attention to the mint mark, or the lack thereof. Because Philadelphia coins with no mint mark are the ones that collectors are actively seeking. And if you find a coin that appears to be in pristine condition, especially one graded MS67 or higher by PCGS or NGC, its value can increase dramatically. With MS67 examples selling for around $15 and MS67 Plus or MS68 examples commanding prices in the hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The value may leave you speechless when you realize what some of these coins are actually worth, because according to recent price guides, a 2009 P birth and early childhood penny in MS67 condition is valued at around $30, while the same coin in MS69 with a satin finish can be worth $60, and a 2009 P presidency penny in MS67 is valued at $35. But the satin finish version in MS69 can reach an incredible $100, and the 2009 D presidency penny in MS69 has sold for as much as $2,500, with the value range for uncirculated examples spanning from $3 to an astonishing $5,520 depending on the design, the grade, and the mint mark. And these are not just coins. They are tiny pieces of history that could be worth a small fortune, but I must give you a warning, because with great value comes great responsibility, and unfortunately where there is money to be made, there are always counterfeiters and scammers looking to take advantage of unsuspecting collectors. So if you believe you have found a valuable 2009 penny, do not rush to sell it to the first buyer who makes you an offer. But instead, take the time to have it professionally graded by a reputable service like PCGS or NGC, who will authenticate your coin, assign it a precise grade, and encapsulate it in a secure holder that protects its value. So here's my challenge to you right now today: go check your pocket change, go check that jar of coins on your dresser, go check that old piggy bank from your childhood, go check those rolls of pennies you might have stashed away in a drawer somewhere. Go check that inherited coin collection from a grandparent, because you might be holding a 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial penny that could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, and you would never know it unless you look. So look for the 4 different reverse designs, look for the no mint mark that identifies a Philadelphia coin, look for pristine uncirculated condition, Look for double dies, extra fingers, off-center strikes, and other errors, and most importantly, do not spend that penny until you have had it properly evaluated by a professional, because you could be sitting on a small fortune and not even realize it. But before you run off to check your coins, I need to tell you about another 2009 penny that makes this one look like pocket change. A coin so rare, so valuable, and so incredibly overlooked that it is sold for prices that will make your jaw drop, including one particular 2009 penny that sold for an astonishing $82,350. And that is exactly what we are going to explore in our next segment. The 2009 pennies that have shattered auction records and left collectors speechless, so stay with me because what comes next will absolutely blow your mind.